Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you by St. Luke's On-Demand Virtual Care, which allows patients to see a provider from their home using a computer or smartphone with on-demand care for common ailments such as a cough, sore throat, or a sinus issue. More information at stlukesonline.org.
Boise State Public Radio, because of you.
Well, I feel if you're listening to it even occasionally, you're reaping the benefits. And I think you really need to think about what the world would be like without public radio, without this very different format. Just think of what the world would be like without that. For me, it was a pretty clear-cut choice.
We do it because of you. Thank you for your support at boisestatepublicradio.org.
More Idaho Matters now from the studios of Boise State Public Radio News. I'm Gemma Gaudette. Tucked away in a warehouse in Nampa is a chef's treasure trove of beans, vanilla beans from 50 different countries. You'll find sweet beans from Brazil with a mocha flavor and hints of caramel and dried fruit, while the New Caledonia beans are more cocoa with hints of wood and hay and balsamic with the flavor of candied fruit and orange blossoms. Jones and Company Vanillas is the brainchild of CEO Ted Jones, and it's more than just a chef's paradise of different flavors and textures of vanilla. They work with small farms, not giant plantations, to help independent farmers make a living and stay on their land long term. Jones is joining us now to talk to us more about how beans from Tahiti and Guatemala, Taiwan, even Florida, make their way to Southwest Idaho. Ted, really nice to have you on the show. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Gemma.
So tell us how you got started in importing vanilla beans.
Well, it's a long story, but basically my father, over 30 years ago, was selling packaging to a small family extract manufacturer. And I got to know the owner, who was a very talented Caltech master's chemist, and he had a perfumer's nose. And I ended up, make a long story short, I ended up becoming his outside sales rep for about 23 years until he passed away.
So I'm curious, how many types of beans are there?
Well, vanilla is one of the orchid family. There's about 30,000 known orchids. And out of those, about 110 are the vanilla species. They're the only, of all the orchids of the 30,000, those are the only ones that bear a fruit. And they produce they flower for about 4 hours, one day a year. They have to be hand pollinated. And then they produce a green bean. It looks almost just like a green bean, has no flavor whatsoever. And then once about 8-9 months goes by, and it will start to just begin to yellow. And that's when it ripens. And that's when they're picked. And then they go through a process, a killing stage, where they're put in hot water, and it's precise temperature and time. And then they start a enzymatic reaction, and then they're cured and dried and fermented over a course of anywhere from a month to 6 months, where they develop their flavor.
So can you talk to us about why vanilla beans, are so different and taste different? Like, for example, like beans from Thailand, they apparently have like a mocha butterscotch type of flavor. But then you take a vanilla bean from a place like Tonga, and it has more of like a chocolate, hickory, and marshmallow note. So why do they taste so different?
Well, that's a great question, and I wish I had the answer. A lot of that is based on species. And some is based on the specific area that it's grown, kind of like wine grapes. But what's interesting is I worked with Owen McDougall at Boise State University, the chemistry department. He's the head of the chemistry department. And we've had vanilla analyzed. And what's really fascinating is we'll see vanillas that are almost identical chemically, but yet they're completely different aromatically. And he has no idea. I have no idea. I don't know anybody that has any idea how and why that is. It's just fascinating. So it's really an incredible thing when you have vanilla and sometimes you don't know what you're going to find when you found a new grower. You don't know what the aromatics are going to be. And it's just such a fascinating journey.
So I want to talk next about the fact that you really work with small plot farmers. I know this is something that your company prides itself on, and it is buying beans from these smaller farmers. Why is that so important? From buying from, let's say, like a large vanilla plantation.
Well, I think the main reason is because all the major vanilla extract manufacturers in this country and in Europe just traditionally deal with very large producers. And there's people growing vanilla that we've identified in about 75 countries. And many of these countries, they don't have any tourism to speak of. And so they have literally no market for their vanilla. So I kind of, about 7, 8 years ago, I decided, I really wanted to switch focus and I wanted to find out how I could support small farmers, small growers, or grower co-ops in different areas of the world, remote areas. And so it's been a project my middle son and I have been working on. And we've gone to some of these places and we've met people, through other growers. It's just been an interesting um, way that we've just run into all kinds of different people. And so our goal has just been to support these small growers and create a market for them. And now they are able to get really some very good market prices. And so, on the one hand, we're supporting these growers, but on the other hand, we're now providing vanilla to our customer base that never had any of this before. Because up until about 3, 4 years ago, most of the vanilla you purchased was based on most everybody bought Madagascar vanilla. And
Hmm.
maybe you bought some Mexico or Indonesia or Uganda. But we kind of changed all that about 4 or 5 years ago when we started focusing on aromas because a lot of our customers, say brewers, chocolate manufacturers, ice cream manufacturers, they want certain aromatics. And it's not so much where they're from, it's they're focused more on the flavor characteristics. So we've been really fortunate that we've been able to benefit the farmers and benefit our customers.
You've also connected these farmers with each other around the world. So, what was the reasoning behind that? And does it help them by I don't know, sharing like growing tips and things like that with each other?
Oh, exactly. Because a lot of these people are in remote areas, they don't have much access. So what we just know so many people. We have such great growers that a lot of them are willing to share their expertise because it doesn't really impact them and hurt them by doing that. So we have people in different areas of the world. They may be over in the Indian Ocean territory and they're helping people in Southeast Asia, or we have somebody in uh, Africa helping
Hmm.
somebody in the South Pacific. So we just try to match people and put people in touch. We have a tea grower we've been working with for about 3 years in South Sudan, a very war-torn area. And so we matched him up with who we feel is really the premier vanilla grower in the world. And he's provided them incredible expertise. And he's also this same particular individual's worked with one of our growers, new growers in Vietnam, and really helped him out immensely. So it's just very beneficial. And the people that are helping really enjoy it. And then the people that get helped really appreciate it.
Uh, you also DNA sequence your beans. Why do that?
Okay, we don't do that ourselves. What we do is we
Okay.
arrange with our growers to send their beans to the University of Florida. There's a tropical research center there. That's the most advanced research center in the United States for vanilla. And so the vanilla is sent there because a lot of people want to find out exactly what they're dealing with. Are they dealing with um, a 100% planifolia, or are they dealing with a hybrid? And it could be a hybrid cross between, say, Pompona vanilla and planifolia. Um, so it helps them, and then it helps them determine what they need to do. And then it also helps with what disease characteristics do they need to be aware of when it comes to certain species of vanilla.
So let's talk about how the beans get to you. Walk us through that process of how they come to Nampa. I mean, do they have to be dried first? What does that look like?
Well, you have the flowering, then the pollination, and then the growing. And then you have the harvesting, and then you have what's called the curing. And that's where the vanilla develops its flavor. Then it's conditioned, and that further dries it out, and it develops much richer, deeper aromatics. From that point, and I'll just give you an example, Vanuatu. That's an island
Hmm.
nation in the South Pacific near Fiji, about 190 islands. And there's growers that we work with on 6 different islands. And the vanilla has to actually, once it's cured, it's put on a ferry, and that ferry goes maybe to another island, then to onto the other island, then to the main port. And from that point, it's collected, and then our maybe our one of our contacts there, or maybe one of our growers there, he'll get everything together, and then they will ship it by air freight. Once it ships by air freight, it has to go through U.S. Customs first, and there's a lot of paperwork you have to get done to do that. And then it has to go through U.S. FDA after it goes through customs. Then it goes
Hmm.
back to the carrier and to us. So it's a long process. And if you don't have all the right paperwork, you could have some problems. And then we're wiring money overseas, and it can be very risky and very complex.
So once they get to you, are you selling just the beans, or do you sell, extracts? How does that work?
Well, we do a little bit of both. So we sell the beans, we buy in kilos and sell in pounds, and we'll repackage, and we do the grading and the packaging here. And then we also manufacture all kinds of different vanilla extracts. We'll do 100% maybe from a certain species or country. We'll also do blends. So we make the extracts here also. And so we're basically handling the beans, the whole beans, and then the extracts. And then we also have ground vanilla that we sell.
Before I let you go, last question. In your
Sure.
opinion, why is it important to support sustainable vanilla farming, even with, all of the extra steps that seem to be involved?
Well, vanilla is not only a great flavor for, say, vanilla ice cream, but it's a great flavor enhancer. So if you have a caramel sauce or chocolate sauce, and you have one without vanilla and one with, the difference is night and day. So you cannot do that with artificial vanilla, or what's called natural vanillin, or what you'll see on some labels is natural vanilla. Natural vanilla is not pure vanilla.
Mm.
So it's a natural vanilla is derived from wood pulp, and it has nothing to do with vanilla beans. And it's one dimensional because it's just vanillin, where vanilla beans contain anywhere from around over 250 known compounds. And it's just the complexity. It enhances all food. And the other thing, too, is people generally think of vanilla, they think of ice cream and chocolate and sweets. Well,
Hmm.
vanilla is fantastic in savory dishes because it enhances all the other flavors. So it's great in a stew, it's great in fish, chicken, beef dishes. Um, so it just has a variety of uses. I mean, it's almost limitless.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking time to talk with us about your company and about what you do. We've been speaking with Jones and Company Vanilla's CEO, Ted Jones, about his Nampa based vanilla bean company. You've been listening to the Idaho Matters podcast from Boise State Public Radio. To stay in touch, you can find quick Idaho daily news every morning when you subscribe to the Connector podcast. Find this and other Boise State Public Radio podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening right now.
If you like podcasts like this, explore more from the Boise State Public Radio podcast family. There you'll find a mix of daily news, Idaho Voices, and in-depth series on a wide range of topics. I'm talking wild horses, political scandals, sustainable ranching, and militia groups in a post-January 6th world. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search Boise State Public Radio to find what Idaho's NPR station has in store for you.